Hey parents, are you concerned about the impact of technology on your children's development? Are you worried that your kids might be addicted to screens or social media? You're not alone. Moms and dads everywhere share these concerns, but it's hard to get practical and balanced advice. One side says, hey, just get over it. This is the future, and the sooner your children get comfortable with technology, the better for their ability to fit in and to compete. The other side can sound like they're saying, technology is the devil, and it's destroying your kids' hearts and minds, and you're a bad parent for letting them use it at all. In this video, I will provide a balanced approach and offer practical guidance for your concerns. I'm going to talk about the ways that technology and screen time actually can affect your child's development and how. And then I will offer you some proven strategies on how to limit technology until the time is right for your child and it can actually serve their development and potential. My name is Todd Sarner, and I'm a psychotherapist and parenting coach. My mission is to provide parents like you with the education and resources you need to have the family life that you've always wanted and to raise children that thrive. How technology affects development. There are many aspects of a child's development to consider when talking about technology, screens, and social media. For the purposes of this video, I wanted to focus on three. One is about their sense of attachment and connection and how technology can get in the way of that sometimes. The other two are about maturities that kids need and how technology fits in with the development of these capacities that are required for our children to be successful in life. I'd like to emphasize from the start that this is not an anti-technology approach. This is a developmental approach. We're going to talk in common sense terms about how things affect your children as they develop, things that you can actually observe and see with your own eyes. If you place an object next to a sapling, and that object blocked out the light that it needed to grow, it wouldn't make that object bad. You would just move it away from the sapling until the sapling was able to get big and strong. That's more akin to this approach. How technology affects child development. Number one, secure attachment. Attachment science tells us that the number one determinant of how kids learn to have healthy relationships, how they behave day to day, and how they grow up into their greatest potential in life is how secure they learn to be in their primary relationships. Usually this means their parents. Children becoming secure is something that takes a lot of time and patience, and that's why their parents are best suited to be the ones that guide them to security over time, not people who are less invested in their outcomes. The built-in problem with wanting to be attached to people in a healthy way is that it's vulnerable. To allow yourself to depend on others comes with risks and fears. The problem with technology and screens and social media in this is that opposed to human connection, they're less vulnerable ways of attaching. If someone is feeling sad or lonely or scared or anxious, they might just want to go play a game or browse on their phone or go look at social media posts rather than go seek comfort from someone else, because they might be afraid they'll be rejected or misunderstood. In this way, a child would be avoiding experiences they need to develop properly because they're harder than just numbing out or distracting themselves. How technology affects child development. Number two, emergent energy. In other videos, I mentioned the important energies of maturity that kids need to develop over time. I'll focus on two of these energies right now as they relate to your child's use of technology. The first one is emergent energy. This is the energy that most kids seem to be born with of wanting to learn and explore and imagine and play. It's a critical energy for being a good student, for problem solving, and for creativity. Unfortunately, there are many things that can block this energy or get in its way. When technology is not used in the right way or at the right time, it can be one of these things. Internet and video games and social media tend to fill in the time and space where a child might otherwise be taking part in unstructured play or creative pursuits, or just a downtime that often comes right before a new idea of something fun or creative to do. There's only so much time in the day, and our children need the time for their creative energy to emerge, not just fill in their time with other people's creative energy. I'd like to add an important note here that could fill an entire video. Technology is proven to elevate the dopamine in your child's brain to very high levels, much like many drugs. The problem with that is that children can get used to these high dopamine levels, and therefore anything that doesn't raise their dopamine to these levels seems boring to them, like nature or rest time or quiet interaction with family or friends. How technology affects child development. Number three, adaptive energy. The second energy of maturity that I'll discuss is adaptive energy. Kids need to be able to learn how to feel their feelings and process them, and sometimes that's an uncomfortable thing to do. No one really wants to sit with feelings of fear or sadness or frustration. But learning to tolerate these feelings and move through them is necessary to becoming an adaptive and resilient human being. When we become more adaptive and resilient in life, we don't spend as much time using things like technology or food or drinking to help us avoid feelings. Resilience allows us to become better problem solvers and less weighed down with hard emotion. This is a critical capacity for our kids to develop, and they need our help sometimes to navigate these feelings so they don't have to do it alone. The problem can be that when our children are having difficult feelings, it would just be easier for them to avoid them by distracting themselves with technology like games or social media, and this can become a habit and part of their personality over time. Now let's turn to the question of when to introduce technology to kids and discuss a balanced, common sense approach for how to limit technology until it's the right time for your kids. From a developmental perspective, the bottom line of when you should introduce technology to your children is ideally you only introduce it after you see that these needs and capacities we've discussed are in a good place. This means that your children are attached in a healthy and consistent enough way that there's no chance that technology and social media can compete with that attachment. It's not tempting for them to seek out technology for connection instead of people. That also means that your child's emergent and adaptive energy is in a really good place. Not perfect, but a good place. They would rather go out and play with family and friends and be in nature than be at home on a screen. And they are able to feel and process their feelings and not use technology to avoid them. And when you do introduce more technology to your kids, it can and should be used in smart ways that serve their developmental and attachment needs. They'll use technology to connect in genuine ways with friends and family. They'll use it to explore the world and learn new things. They won't use it as a distraction from life or their feelings, and they'll use it to further their emergent pursuits. You know, my mentor, Dr. Gordon Neufeld, had a great way of framing this. He said that technology should be seen as dessert that only takes place after we've had a good meal, meaning that the place for technology was after your child's attachment and developmental needs were met. Before we get to the rest of the video, do you want to know what one of the best ways that parents like you can benefit from technology? It's to like this video and to subscribe to our channel. When you like the content that adds value to your life and subscribe to channels like ours, it tells the YouTube algorithm that we're doing a good job, and it sends the best possible content to you on your YouTube feed. Finally, let's talk about that common sense approach I mentioned to limit technology in a balanced and practical way in your home. There are two main strategies I'll share with you about how to do this. Strategy number 1, fill the vacuum that technology fills otherwise. You may have heard the expression, nature abhors a vacuum. This means that nature doesn't allow for unfilled spaces and will fill them in with something. In this case, it means that we should not leave spaces in our child's attachment and developmental needs for technology to fill in. Don't leave that space. It sounds simple, but it's true, and I've seen this approach work for the 2 decades that I've been a parenting coach. I'm not saying we should overbook our children or become some kind of parenting superheroes. We just need to make sure we are proactively giving them consistent opportunities for connection with family and close friends. We need to make sure that they have opportunities for being in nature and for unstructured play. And it's helpful to build a community of like-minded parents so that we can help each other out with these things. And we need to just ignore the voices out there that pressure us and say that our kids need to be doing what everyone else is doing just because everyone else is doing it, like being on technology all the time. Strategy number 2, make clear rules for technology in your home. The second strategy that I recommend for limiting technology in your home until the right time is to make clear rules for the place of technology and to stick to these rules. First, I recommend this mindset. The mindset is technology is optional. We only do it if we do it after we've done everything else we need to do in our day. This means that parents have to start off from the place of being very clear about everything that needs to happen in your home before optional activities like the internet or games or social media can possibly be considered. This means that parents have to be clear and specific and consistent about all the activities that are required in our homes that need to happen before optional activities like the internet or games or social media are even possible. Get very clear between you and your parenting partner about what has to be done before optional things. This can include things like doing homework, getting chores done, engaging in physical activity and outdoor time. And it should also include quality family time. This is consistent with the way I teach parents to teach consequences to their kids. I'll link to a full video on that topic below, which I think will help you out a lot. After everything that needs to happen happens, then and only then might there be time for technology. But there need to be clear and consistent limits on this. You only allow technology that you think your child is ready for, based on the guidelines that we've discussed here. And then there are clear understandings about exactly how much time is allowed, and you stick to that. When parents are inconsistent about the rules because they have different opinions amongst themselves, or they're so tired that they give in, or they let their children talk them into more technology sometimes, this all creates an inconsistent environment that makes setting limits around it very difficult. That's our video for today, but I'm really curious about what you think. Please leave your comments and questions below about this topic, and check out the links I mentioned to some of our other videos. They're in the description below. As always, please let us know below what topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Our channel is here to serve you, and we want to make sure we're staying attuned to what content helps you the most. As you probably know, I like to end each video with a quote related to the day's topic. Today's quote is by movie director Steven Spielberg, who said, "Technology can be our best friend, and technology can also be the biggest party pooper of our lives. It interrupts our own story, interrupts our ability to have a thought or a daydream, to imagine something wonderful, because we're too busy bridging the walk from the cafeteria back to the office on a cell phone." I think that's really true. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.